The vast emptiness of space is broken by the sudden appearance of a massive alien warship. The ship's sleek, dark hull gleams under the distant light of nearby stars, and its engine thrums with an ominous hum. At its helm sits Zarnak, a towering, formidable alien warlord, his dark, emotionless eyes scanning the blue planet below. His mission is simple: assess Earth's potential as either a future conquest or a target for annihilation. This mission is no different than any other he's carried out across the galaxy, he's done it countless times before. But Earth is different. Zarnak's fleet of advanced warships has arrived in the outer atmosphere, ready to begin the reconnaissance. As the warlord gazes at Earth through the enormous viewing window, a deep sense of superiority fills him. He has encountered hundreds of civilizations more advanced than this one, and his verdict is clear. Humans are no different. Weak. Primitive. Beneath his notice. Earth, Zarnak mutters to himself, his voice cold and full of disdain. This planet doesn't even stand a chance. The alien warlord turns to his command crew. Prepare the scanning systems. Let's see how far the humans have advanced in the past few centuries. His words are dripping with arrogance. It's clear that he believes there is nothing of value on this planet, certainly not worth losing his time over. The crew, with their technological expertise, begins to activate the warship's advanced scanning systems. These systems are capable of analyzing everything: Earth's military defenses, energy sources, weapons technology, and even the layout of its cities. The data starts streaming in, filling the darkened room with flashing lights. To Zarnak's surprise, the initial scans show that humanity has made advancements, though they are still far behind his own civilization's technology. There are traces of new weapons, energy shields, and advanced machinery, but they are no match for his fleet's power. The alien warlord's lips curl into a smug smile. He motions for the crew to begin the planetary scan, his eyes still fixed on the blue planet below. All too easy. Their technology is weak, and their military is laughable, Zarnak scoffs. This will be no challenge. Despite his apparent certainty, there's a feeling that something is off. Zarnak can't quite put his finger on it. As the crew continues to gather data, the warlord's sharp eyes scan Earth with growing suspicion. Every now and then, he catches glimpses of unusual energy readings, nothing major, just minor anomalies that seem to come from the planet's surface. Could it be some form of hidden defense? Maybe humans have developed some new technology after all. But Zarnak dismisses these thoughts. In his arrogance, he assumes that these are mere glitches or signs of desperation. They are nothing compared to the power of his fleet. His pride blinds him to the bigger picture. These humans, they're nothing, Zarnak repeats to himself. They believe they can protect themselves. I've seen countless civilizations crumble under my fleet's firepower. And I've never met a species that can withstand the might of my warships. The scanning systems continue to churn out information. Zarnak's expression shifts from amusement to boredom as he watches a report on Earth's military. The military forces on Earth, he notes, are still using outdated technology, with nothing on the horizon that could present a significant challenge. The humans' highest military development seems to be powerful energy weapons, but even these seem laughably weak compared to his fleet's arsenal. On his command screen, Earth's surface shows up as a patchwork of cities and rural landscapes. The only indication of a real military presence is a few scattered installations. Zarnak chuckles darkly to himself. He had expected a more impressive show. But what really caught his eye is a single human facility deep underground. Its energy readings are off the charts. Curious, he orders a more detailed scan, but again, his arrogance keeps him from taking it too seriously. There's nothing down there but foolish attempts at technology, Zarnak says dismissively, waving his hand. Let's finish this and move on. The sooner we eliminate this weakling of a planet, the better. Zarnak leans back in his command chair, his arms crossed and a look of absolute confidence on his face. He watches the planetary scan slowly coming to an end. With every passing second, Earth seems less and less significant. It's the same feeling he's had countless times before when conquering worlds. The feeling of control. The feeling of invincibility. Nothing, not even this insignificant planet, is a match for his superior technology and intellect. But the feeling of unease persists, something nagging at the edges of his mind, just beyond his reach. As he runs his fingers along the armrest of his chair, he glances back at the crew. Prepare for invasion. This planet will fall like all the others. We'll sweep through their weak defenses and claim Earth as our next conquest. The warlord's eyes narrow as the fleet's invasion plans begin to take shape. However, as Zarnak moves forward with his invasion plan, the sense that something is wrong continues to linger. The humans may seem primitive to him, but in the back of his mind, a nagging voice whispers that he should have been more cautious. Unbeknownst to him, while he dismisses Earth's defenses as laughable, the planet's leaders are working together in secret, preparing for the impending invasion. Dr. Claire Hawk, a brilliant scientist who has long suspected Earth would eventually be targeted by a more powerful civilization, is leading a project that the rest of the world knows nothing about. With the help of a small group of military personnel, she has developed a highly advanced defense system, a planetary shield capable of deflecting most of the damage from alien attacks. Her design is untested, but it's the only hope Earth has. Dr. Hawk's technology uses an energy source that could rival the power of Zarnak's fleet, but the challenge is activating it without detection. The human forces know they must strike first before their defenses are discovered. There's no room for error. As the humans finalize their plans, the tension builds. Earth's leaders and scientists are fully aware that this may be their last chance to protect their home. With every minute that passes, their chances of success seem to grow slimmer. Meanwhile, Zarnak continues to analyze Earth's data, unaware of the hidden defense systems being activated beneath the surface. His fleet is preparing to strike, his arrogance growing with every passing second. But what Zarnak doesn't know is that Earth is preparing a surprise, one that will shake him to his core. On the surface of Earth, as Zarnak's fleet looms in space, the planet's leaders and scientists work in secret, knowing the invasion is inevitable. Across the world, nations unite in a rare moment of cooperation, as humanity's best minds race against time to develop a defense strong enough to push back the alien warlords' forces. In a high-tech underground facility, deep beneath the Earth's surface, Dr. Claire Hawk stands over a series of holographic screens, her tired eyes scanning the complex data streams that flow across them. She's been working on this project for years, long before the alien threat ever made itself known. Her creation, a revolutionary energy shield, is humanity's last hope. It's a system that can absorb and redirect the destructive energy of advanced alien weapons, a barrier strong enough to withstand even the most powerful bombardments. Dr. Hawk's fingers dance across the holographic display, adjusting the settings for the shield's activation. The shield's core is powered by quantum fuel, a newly discovered, virtually unlimited energy source capable of releasing massive shockwaves into space. The quantum fuel can be weaponized, sending pulses of energy that could disrupt the enemy's fleet, but Dr. Hawk has refined it into a defensive tool, a shield capable of creating an invisible wall around the planet, powerful enough to withstand Zarnak's invasion. Her face is a mix of exhaustion and determination. It has to work, she mutters to herself. It has to. The pressure on her is immense, and time is running out. They know that once the shield is activated, it will be a beacon to the alien fleet, revealing Earth's defensive capabilities. If the shield fails, humanity will be defenseless. If it works, they will have a fighting chance, but that's a big if. Nearby, Captain Michael Bonner, a grizzled soldier with a haunted past, stands with his arms crossed, watching Dr. Hawk at work. His jaw is clenched, and his eyes are cold with a mix of resolve and grief. Bonner is a man driven by vengeance. Years ago, his family, his wife and 2 young children, were killed during an alien raid on Earth. That day, the invaders unleashed their devastating weapons on his hometown, and Bonner barely managed to survive. Since then, he has dedicated his life to stopping the alien menace that has taken so much from him. Every minute Bonner spends in the underground facility is a reminder of the pain he's endured, but it also fuels his resolve. He knows that this is their only chance for revenge. The energy shield they are building won't just protect the planet, it will be humanity's weapon of retaliation, a chance to finally strike back against the invaders who have plagued their world for so long. We'll make them pay for what they've done, Bonner says, his voice barely above a whisper. His words are a promise, one that he's ready to keep. Dr. Hawk glances up at Bonner, sensing the weight of his thoughts. We're almost there, Captain, she says, her voice steady but tired. The shield will be ready. But we still have a long way to go. Bonner nods, though the uncertainty is clear in his eyes. What else can we do? Dr. Hawk gestures to the rest of the facility. We've got cloaking devices ready to hide the shield's energy signature. And we've also developed AI-controlled drones that will be able to track the enemy and launch surprise attacks. But all of it depends on the shield holding up. A brief silence falls between them as the gravity of their situation settles in. They know that the success of their plan is far from guaranteed. The shield must be activated without detection, or Zarnok will find it and destroy it before it has a chance to do any good. They must strike first, take the enemy by surprise. They can't afford to wait. As Dr. Hawk continues her work, Captain Bonner takes a moment to step away from the control room and into a quiet corner of the facility. He pulls out a small photo from his jacket, a picture of his family, smiling together during happier times. His fingers tremble slightly as he looks at the photo, but his resolve only hardens. He had promised himself that he would make sure his family's death wasn't in vain. I'll make sure they pay, he mutters under his breath, his voice thick with emotion. Bonner is a man driven by vengeance, yes, but more importantly, he's a man who understands the importance of the fight. He knows that the shield, the drones, the cloaking devices, none of it matters unless they act quickly. Earth is vulnerable, and Zarnok's fleet will show no mercy. If they fail, humanity is finished. It's a thought that gnaws at him, but it's a thought he refuses to let consume him. Turning his attention back to the control room, Bonner sees Dr. Hawk working at a feverish pace. He knows she's doing everything she can to make sure the shield is ready. He walks back to her side, his eyes scanning the data displays that flicker above her workstation. How long until we're ready, he asks, though he already knows the answer. Time is running out. Not long now, Dr. Hawk replies, though her tone lacks the certainty she wishes she could give him. She's spent countless sleepless nights working on the project, and though the shield is nearly complete, there's still the matter of getting it operational without alerting Zarnok. The pressure is mounting. Then we strike fast, Bonner says. We can't give them a chance to retaliate. Dr. Hawk nods in agreement. The plan is risky, but it's the only plan they have. She taps a few more commands into the console. The drones are ready. Once the shield is activated, they'll be deployed immediately. We'll need to act as quickly as possible to buy time. The element of surprise is our only advantage. Captain Bonner looks at the map of Earth displayed on the screen. He knows that this may be their only shot at survival. He knows the cost of failure. We won't let them take Earth. We won't let them take everything. As the preparation continues, the tension in the air is palpable. Zarnok's fleet is still scanning Earth, but the humans are working in secret, finalizing their defenses. The cloaking devices, which will mask the shield's energy signature, are tested and calibrated to perfection. The drones are programmed with advanced AI, able to assess the alien fleet's movements and take action without human intervention. But the humans know this is a last-ditch effort. If they fail to strike first, Earth will be helpless against Zarnok's overwhelming firepower. The energy shield must be activated without alerting the enemy. If Zarnak detects it, he will destroy it before it can be fully deployed. Every second counts. Dr. Hawk and Bonner stand side by side, looking over the final data. "This is it," Dr. Hawk says softly. "This is all we have." Bonner places a hand on her shoulder, his voice steady despite the fear he feels inside. "Then we make it count." The countdown to activation begins. A soft, rhythmic hum fills the room as the energy core powers up. The quantum fuel begins to pulse, and the shield starts to take shape. Earth's last defense is almost ready. But they both know the cost of failure. Zarnak stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching Earth's surface through the viewports of his warship. His cold, calculating eyes surveyed the planet below, a planet he had already dismissed as weak and insignificant. The humans were primitive, their weapons outdated, and their defenses laughable. He had seen this many times before. Civilizations like Earth's were easily crushed under the might of his advanced forces. But Zarnak had underestimated the humans before, underestimated their resilience, their ingenuity, and that mistake had cost him dearly in past campaigns. However, this time, he was sure there would be no surprises. He would crush them easily, just as he had done with countless other worlds. Still, he couldn't resist the urge to study the humans more closely. He needed to observe their behavior up close. Perhaps this would be the final confirmation he needed to declare Earth's fate. "Prepare a reconnaissance ship," he ordered coldly, his voice laced with arrogance. "I want to observe them firsthand. They might amuse me." The small ship detached from the massive fleet, cutting through space toward Earth. It was equipped with advanced sensors, cloaking capabilities, and the ability to land in remote areas without being detected. Zarnak's plan was simple: land in an isolated region, observe the humans' primitive ways, and then report back to him. The thought of a planet as insignificant as Earth fooling him for so long seemed laughable. Unbeknownst to him, however, Earth's defenses were already in motion. Back on Earth, in the underground facility, the final stages of preparation were underway. Dr. Claire Hawk stood at the command center, her fingers trembling slightly as she activated the cloaking devices. "Now," she muttered, as a quiet hum filled the air. The cloaking devices shielded Earth's defenses from Zarnak's prying eyes, keeping the energy shield's activation and the drones hidden from his sensors. Every second counted now, and Earth's survival depended on the success of this first strike. The AI-controlled drones, equipped with advanced weaponry and guided by cutting-edge algorithms, were deployed across key locations. They scattered, cloaked and ready to engage the alien reconnaissance ship. The humans had learned from previous encounters with alien forces and knew that surprise was their only advantage. They could not match the aliens' firepower head-on, but they could outsmart them, an advantage they would use to its fullest. As the small reconnaissance ship descended through Earth's atmosphere, everything appeared normal from its sensors. There were no signs of resistance, no unusual energy readings. It seemed as if humanity was still unaware of the impending invasion. The ship's pilot, an alien soldier under Zarnak's command, smirked as he steered the ship toward a remote forest area, far from any major human settlements. His task was simple: observe, then return to the fleet with valuable intelligence. But what he didn't realize was that his arrival was already being watched, and Earth was preparing for a fight. The alien ship touched down in the dense forest, its engines roaring as it slowly settled onto the ground. For a moment, there was silence. The forest around it seemed peaceful, undisturbed, and the aliens believed they were in the clear. However, that peace was about to be shattered. Suddenly, the air crackled with energy as Earth's drones activated. Silent and deadly, the AI-controlled machines emerged from their cloaking fields, their sleek metallic bodies blending with the shadows. In a flash, they opened fire, targeting the alien reconnaissance ship with pinpoint accuracy. Laser beams cut through the night air, and explosions rocked the ground. The alien soldiers inside the ship scrambled to react. They fired back with their advanced weapons, but the humans' drones were faster and more agile. The drones' weaponry, high-energy plasma cannons and electromagnetic pulse guns, punctured the ship's hull with terrifying precision. The forest exploded into chaos as the drones attacked relentlessly, each strike a calculated move in the battle for Earth's survival. The aliens' return fire was powerful, but it was also predictable. The drones swerved and dodged with military precision, their movements sharp and calculated. They attacked in waves, hitting the aliens from multiple angles, using guerrilla tactics to exploit the alien soldiers' underestimation of human resolve. The reconnaissance ship's crew was now fully engaged in the fight. Alien soldiers tried to defend their ship, using advanced energy shields and weaponry. But they were ill-prepared for the brutal, relentless assault that Earth's drones unleashed. The battle raged on, with explosions lighting up the night sky, sending shockwaves through the ground. The drones' weapons created craters in the earth, and the sound of laser beams cutting through the air was deafening. The night sky flickered with bursts of laser fire, lighting up the forest in bursts of brilliant blue and red. The alien ship fired back, sending streaks of energy through the trees, vaporizing anything in its path. The drones darted through the chaos, launching missiles that tore through the alien ship's defenses. Each explosion sent shockwaves through the ground, shaking the trees and sending dirt and debris flying into the air. The forest had become a battlefield, the peaceful world now consumed by a violent clash between two species. In the midst of the chaos, Captain Michael Bonner led a team of elite human soldiers, cloaked and concealed among the trees, providing support for the drones. Their role was critical. They needed to ensure that the aliens couldn't escape or call for reinforcements. Bonner's eyes were locked onto the reconnaissance ship, his body tense with anticipation. He could feel the adrenaline pumping through his veins. "This is it," Bonner muttered to himself. "This is what we've been waiting for." The aliens, clearly unprepared for such a fight, were already beginning to falter. Their technology was advanced, but it was no match for the sheer unpredictability and resourcefulness of the human forces. Bonner's soldiers used every advantage at their disposal: stealth, speed, and the element of surprise. The aliens, although equipped with superior weaponry, were now in disarray. As the drones continued their relentless assault, one of them got close enough to the reconnaissance ship's engines to launch a direct hit, causing a massive explosion. The ship's rear end erupted in a fiery blast, sending a shockwave through the surrounding area. Alien soldiers were thrown back from the impact, and the ship's systems began to malfunction. The reconnaissance mission was falling apart, and the aliens knew they had to retreat. But as they attempted to flee, Bonner's team moved in, engaging in close-quarters combat with the alien soldiers. The human soldiers were armed with energy blades and advanced plasma pistols, fighting with a ferocity that the aliens didn't expect. Blades clashed with alien armor, and the sound of plasma shots rang out as the battle reached its peak. The humans, outnumbered and outgunned, refused to give up. They fought for their survival, for their homes, and for their future. Despite the overwhelming power of the alien weapons, the humans' determination and clever tactics were proving to be a serious challenge. The drones continued to disable the reconnaissance ship, and the human soldiers kept the alien forces pinned down with guerrilla tactics. Even as the alien ship continued to fire back, the humans were not giving up. They had the element of surprise, and they were using it to its fullest. The alien soldiers were starting to realize that they had underestimated Earth's fighting spirit. The humans, though they appeared outmatched, were proving that their will to survive was stronger than any technology the aliens possessed. The attack was just beginning, and Zarnak's forces were about to learn a harsh truth: Earth would not be an easy target. Zarnak's fury boiled over as he watched his forces struggle against the humans on the surface. Despite his overwhelming technological superiority, the humans had surprised him again. His reconnaissance ship had barely escaped with its life, and the attacks from Earth's drones were relentless. The fact that these primitive beings had dared to fight back in such an unpredictable, coordinated manner filled Zarnak with contempt and rage. Pathetic, he growled, staring at the holographic projections of the battle unfolding on Earth. These insects think they can defeat me. I will teach them the true meaning of power. His voice was low and menacing, laced with disgust. He had underestimated them, yes, but he would make sure they knew their place. The humans, so small and insignificant, dared to oppose his might. But he was the one in control, and now it was time to show them the consequences of defying a being like him. Prepare the fleet, Zarnak commanded coldly. His fingers hovered over the control panel, and his mind made the decision. It was time to crush Earth's resistance once and for all. His warships, enormous and brimming with weapons of unimaginable power, were waiting for his command. They had been prepared for this moment, for the final step in the conquest of Earth. Launch a full-scale assault. Bring everything down. The orders echoed through his fleet. In response, the alien warships, sleek and intimidating, broke through the atmosphere, sending shockwaves through the skies. They came down in waves, massive ships that blotted out the sun as they descended toward Earth. Each ship was a marvel of alien engineering, equipped with death-dealing lasers, shields capable of withstanding Earth's strongest weapons, and enough firepower to annihilate entire cities in a matter of minutes. As the warships positioned themselves in Earth's orbit, Zarnak's eyes gleamed with satisfaction. This planet is as good as mine, he muttered. Their resistance will crumble beneath my superior technology. Yet, as the warships descended, Earth was preparing its final move, its hidden card, something Zarnak could never have predicted. As the warships aligned for their strike, a strange hum filled the air across the planet. It was a sound unlike anything the aliens had heard before. It grew louder, almost like the rumble of an earthquake, but it was no earthquake, it was something much more powerful. Far beneath the surface, in the underground complex where Dr. Claire Hawk had spent years working in secret, the final phase of the Earth shield was activated. Dr. Hawk stood at the center of the control room, her face lit by the glow of the screens in front of her. She had put everything she had into building this weapon, the last hope for humanity. It had taken years of research, countless sleepless nights, and untold sacrifices. But now, at this moment, it was ready. She glanced at Captain Bonner, who stood at her side. His face was a mixture of determination and sorrow. His comrades had fallen in the early skirmishes, and he was still haunted by their deaths. But now, as the fate of the planet rested in their hands, he knew what had to be done. Activate the shield, Dr. Hawk ordered, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. Without hesitation, the technicians at the consoles entered the final sequence. A massive energy pulse surged through the Earth's core, feeding into the newly constructed energy conduits that would power the Earth shield. The planet seemed to pulse with life as the immense power of the quantum energy source filled the system. The Earth trembled as if responding to a call, and the once hidden weapon was revealed in all its glory. The Earth shield, an enormous planetary defense system, activated. The energy beam shot upward into space like a powerful burst of light, destabilizing everything in its path. The beam tore through the sky, directly toward Zarnak's fleet. It was massive, far larger than any weapon Zarnak had ever encountered. The power of the quantum energy coursed through it, and as the beam made contact with the alien warships, an intense shockwave reverberated through space. Zarnak's warships, which had seemed unstoppable only moments before, were now caught in the massive beam's wake. Their shields flickered and failed under the pressure of the pulse, and their systems began to overload. The alien fleet, once poised to destroy Earth, was now immobilized, their engines disabled, and their weapons systems temporarily shut down. It was as if the very fabric of space had been torn asunder by the power of Earth's final weapon. Zarnak stared at the chaotic scene unfolding on his control panel, his mouth agape in disbelief. "No, this is impossible," he shouted, slamming his fists against the console. "What is this? How could they have done this?" The sheer magnitude of the energy beam was unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. For a moment, Zarnak felt a twinge of fear, something he had not experienced in centuries. This was not the weak, primitive species he had underestimated. Earth had revealed its trump card, and it was a weapon of unimaginable power. As the energy beam continued to pulse through the sky, Zarnok's forces were in disarray. The mighty warships were floating helplessly in space, their once impenetrable defenses crippled by the quantum energy. The vast armada, which had seemed like an unstoppable force, was now nothing more than a fleet of disabled giants drifting in space. On the ground, Captain Michael Bonner watched as the Earth shield powered up. The sight of the beam shooting into space filled him with a sense of hope, something he hadn't felt in a long time. He had spent so many nights mourning the loss of his comrades, so many days fighting a losing battle. But now, seeing the Earth shield in action, he felt the weight of their sacrifices begin to make sense. They hadn't fought in vain. They hadn't died for nothing. Bonner's resolve hardened. This was it, the moment he had been waiting for. His anger, his grief, and his determination all came together in that instant. The death of his comrades, the destruction of his city, the suffering of innocent people, it had all led to this point. "We have a chance," Bonner whispered, his voice filled with emotion. He turned to his soldiers, who were ready to fight once more. "This is our moment. The shield is up, and now we strike." With that, Bonner and his team launched into action. They moved through the battlefield, engaging the aliens with renewed determination. The Earth shield had leveled the playing field, but the fight wasn't over yet. There were still alien soldiers on the ground, still invaders to defeat. And Bonner was going to make sure they didn't escape. The humans, though outmatched and exhausted, fought harder than ever. They were fighting not just for survival but for the future of their world. Their energy was renewed by the knowledge that they were not alone in this battle. The Earth shield was their savior, but their bravery would be what won the day. With Zarnok's fleet immobilized and Earth's defenses up, the tide of battle had shifted. The human soldiers fought with fury, using the shield's protection to their advantage. The alien invaders, now disoriented and on the defensive, had no idea how to react. Their superior weapons and tactics were useless against the new power Earth had unleashed. Zarnok, still not fully understanding the depth of humanity's resolve, could only watch as his fleet fell apart. The once mighty warships were now vulnerable to Earth's counterattacks. The humans were not just surviving, they were taking the fight to the aliens, pushing them back, and reclaiming their planet. For Zarnok, this was the moment of truth. He had underestimated Earth's strength, and now he would pay the price. The Earth shield was only the beginning. Humanity had found its power, and they were ready to defend their world with everything they had. The atmosphere trembled as Zarnok issued his command. His fleet, once disabled by the Earth shield, had recovered. The alien forces were now angrier and more determined than ever. Zarnok's patience had worn thin, and he was ready to show humanity the true power of his empire. There was no more time for subtlety, he wanted to break Earth's resistance once and for all. "Begin the orbital bombardment," Zarnok commanded, his voice cold and merciless. "Crush their cities. Burn their homes to the ground. Make them see the futility of their resistance." The command was carried out swiftly. From the hovering warships above, massive lasers and plasma cannons rained down on Earth's cities. The beams of light cut through the sky, burning the ground below. In an instant, entire buildings were reduced to rubble. The once thriving cities of Earth became nothing more than smoking ruins. The human population, already battered from the initial alien assault, was now facing its worst nightmare. The brutal bombardment left massive craters, shattered skyscrapers, and burning landscapes in its wake. It was clear that Zarnok's goal was to break the spirit of humanity, to show them that there was no place for them in the galaxy. But Zarnok was wrong. As the bombardment continued, Earth's remaining forces prepared for their final stand. Humanity's resolve had never been stronger. The war was no longer just about survival, it was about proving that they would never be defeated, no matter the cost. In the skies above, the battle intensified. Earth's AI-controlled fighter jets, sleek and fast, took to the air. They were a force to be reckoned with, designed for speed and precision. They darted between the massive alien warships, dodging enemy fire and striking with pinpoint accuracy. The alien ships, with their advanced technology, were still formidable, but the humans had adapted. They were now using their wits and new weapons to strike back. The fighters swooped in low, dodging plasma blasts, and launched a barrage of missiles that struck the underbelly of the alien warships. Sparks flew, and explosions lit up the night sky. For a brief moment, the humans had gained the upper hand. But Zarnok's fleet was relentless, and they countered with everything they had. On the ground, Earth's robot soldiers were deployed. Built for heavy combat, these mechanical warriors were a sight to behold. Massive, humanoid in shape, but powerful like tanks, they charged into battle, engaging the alien foot soldiers head-on. The robots' advanced weaponry fired in rapid succession, cutting through alien armor like butter. Each shot from their blasters caused alien soldiers to fall, but the aliens were well coordinated, and they responded quickly. The clash of metal and alien technology created a battlefield unlike anything humanity had ever seen. The war had gone from a fight for survival to an all-out, epic struggle for dominance. Alien lasers lashed out, striking Earth's defenders, but the humans fought back with everything they had. The robots, built for such a battle, stood strong in the face of overwhelming odds, taking down alien after alien. On the streets, the war turned urban. Buildings were destroyed, and streets were torn apart by the chaos. Humans, armed with advanced energy weapons and powered by their will to survive, fought guerrilla-style against the alien invaders. They used the rubble of their cities as cover, launching surprise attacks and then retreating into the shadows. The aliens, despite their superior technology, struggled to adapt to the humans' unpredictable tactics. The human fighters moved with purpose, attacking from every angle, never staying in one place for too long. They were outmatched in terms of firepower, but they had the advantage of knowing their terrain and fighting for their homes. The war had turned into an urban battlefield where survival was as much about strategy as it was about technology. Every street corner, every ruined building, was a battleground. The sounds of gunfire, explosions, and shouting soldiers filled the air. Humans and aliens alike fought desperately, with no clear advantage. Captain Michael Bonner led his troops from the front. His face, worn and battle-hardened, was set in a determined grimace. His once strong team had been reduced in numbers, and the price of war was evident. As the battle raged on, Bonner's closest friends, the men and women he had fought alongside, the soldiers who had survived so much, fell one by one. In one particularly brutal skirmish, Bonner's unit was ambushed by a group of alien soldiers. The firefight was intense, and though they fought valiantly, they were overwhelmed. Bonner's best friend, Lieutenant Harris, was struck down in the line of duty. The loss hit Bonner hard, but there was no time to mourn. Harris had died fighting for Earth, and Bonner vowed to make sure that his sacrifice was not in vain. "Stay focused," Bonner shouted to his remaining soldiers, his voice hoarse but filled with the same unwavering resolve. "We keep fighting. For Harris. For everyone." But even as Bonner pushed his soldiers forward, the toll of the war weighed heavily on him. Every loss, every fallen comrade, deepened the emotional burden he carried. He had always been a soldier, tough, resilient, and capable. But with each death, the weight of command became unbearable. His grief was a fire that fueled his resolve, but it also wore on him, piece by piece. The enemy was relentless. The aliens kept coming, wave after wave. Their technology was superior, and their forces seemed endless. Yet, no matter how hard the humans fought, they refused to give up. The cost of war became clearer with every fallen soldier, but Bonner knew one thing above all: they could never surrender. Not while there was still a chance to save Earth. The cost of the battle was more than just the physical toll. It was the emotional and mental weight of watching comrades fall, the endless sacrifice, and the haunting realization that humanity's survival could be won or lost on the battlefield. Bonner's face was streaked with dirt and sweat, his eyes red from exhaustion and grief. But his spirit remained unbroken. As the hours dragged on, the battle for Earth showed no signs of slowing. The AI-controlled fighter jets kept harassing the alien warships, while the robot soldiers engaged in brutal close-quarters combat with alien foot soldiers. The humans, despite being outnumbered and outgunned, fought with everything they had. The alien forces were immense, but the human spirit was far stronger than any machine. Zarnak, watching from above, realized that despite all his firepower, the humans had not broken. His fleet was damaged, his soldiers were falling, and Earth's defenses seemed to be getting stronger. The aliens had underestimated humanity, and now they were paying the price. But Zarnak wasn't ready to give up. He would fight until Earth was reduced to nothing. The battle raged on, with no clear victor in sight. It was a fight to the death, each side determined to claim the planet. But humanity had something the aliens didn't: heart. The aliens had their technology, their superior weapons, but the humans had an unbreakable will to protect their home, their families, and their future. As the battle continued, Captain Bonner and his soldiers fought on, knowing that every moment brought them closer to the end of the war. But what they didn't know was that their determination, their refusal to surrender, would be the key to humanity's survival. The war had raged for what felt like an eternity. The cities were in ruins, the skies were filled with smoke, and the Earth's people had endured unimaginable hardships. But through it all, humanity's spirit had never wavered. They had fought tooth and nail to protect their planet, to survive against the odds. And now, in this final hour, the ultimate confrontation was about to unfold. Zarnak, having witnessed the resilience of humanity firsthand, could no longer sit idly by. His forces had failed to break the Earthlings. Their defenses, their tactics, and their unyielding will to survive had turned the tide of the war. It was time for him to take matters into his own hands. In a final act of defiance, Zarnak descended from the skies in his personal warship. The alien fleet, now crippled by Earth's defense systems, hovered high above, leaving the fate of the planet in the hands of its leader. The air crackled with anticipation as Zarnak stepped onto Earth's surface. His footsteps were heavy, his every move exuding the power and arrogance of someone who had never known defeat. Zarnak's armor gleamed under the Earth's sun, reflecting the fearsome alien technology that had served him throughout the war. His imposing figure towered over the ruins, and his weaponry, far beyond anything humanity had seen, was at his side. He was ready to wipe out the final remnants of human resistance. He had come to crush them once and for all. And then, there was Captain Michael Bonner. Standing at the front lines, Bonner knew this would be the most difficult challenge of his life. He had faced many battles, lost many friends, and suffered more than most could imagine. But this battle was different. This was for Earth, for the future of humanity. And he would fight, no matter the cost. As Zarnak advanced, Bonner stepped forward to meet him. The tension was palpable. It was a battle that would decide the fate of Earth, a fight that would be remembered for generations. The ground shook beneath them as the two warriors faced off. Zarnak's alien strength and advanced weaponry were evident in every step he took, but Bonner's resolve was unwavering. The captain, though human, had something Zarnak didn't: heart, determination, and a deep love for his home and people. Zarnak sneered as he raised his weapon, a sleek energy blaster capable of obliterating anything in its path. "You are nothing," he growled, his voice cold and mocking. "You think your tiny resistance can stand against the might of the galaxy? You are a speck, a mere moment in the history of the universe." But Bonner didn't flinch. "We're more than a speck," he said, his voice steady and fierce. "And we fight until our last breath." The two clashed in a whirlwind of destruction. Zarnak's weapon fired deadly beams of energy, each shot capable of erasing a person in an instant. Bonner dodged, using every ounce of his training and agility to stay alive. The captain was no match for Zarnak's raw strength, but he wasn't fighting for himself. He was fighting for every person who had ever believed in Earth's future. Bonner's movements were precise. He used his knowledge of the terrain, the chaos around him, and the advanced Earth technology to his advantage. He was resourceful, using the environment to block Zarnak's attacks and create openings for his own counterstrikes. Bonner knew that he couldn't rely on brute strength alone, he had to be smarter, faster, and more determined than the alien warlord. Zarnak growled in frustration, realizing that this human was not going down easily. The alien leader launched a devastating blow, his weapon pulsing with dangerous energy. The blast hit Bonner square in the chest, sending him flying back into a pile of rubble. For a moment, the world seemed to go silent. Bonner's heart pounded in his chest, his vision blurred. He was hurt, badly. But he wasn't done. With a grunt of determination, Bonner pushed himself up from the debris. He could hear his heart racing, but he knew he had to fight on. Not yet, he muttered to himself. I'm not done yet. Zarnak's confidence grew as he saw Bonner stumble, the human warrior seemingly on the verge of defeat. Is this all you have? Zarnak mocked, stepping closer, raising his weapon for the final blow. This is the end for you, Captain. The end for Earth. But Bonner had a secret weapon, a last-minute tactic that would tip the scales in humanity's favor. Dr. Hawk, the brilliant scientist who had helped design the Earth shield, had been working on a powerful new weapon. Bonner had no idea that it was ready until this very moment. As Zarnak prepared to finish him off, Bonner activated a hidden device on his wrist. Without warning, a swarm of AI-controlled drones, each one equipped with the latest in Earth's technology, descended from the sky. The drones surrounded Zarnak, firing bursts of energy at him. At first, Zarnak was caught off guard, blocking and dodging the incoming blasts. But the drones were relentless, and their AI was programmed to adapt to any situation. Slowly, they closed in, distracting the alien warlord and keeping him off balance. This was the moment Bonner had been waiting for. Bonner, despite the pain still throbbing in his chest, launched himself at Zarnak. With a swift, calculated move, he used a specialized Earth-made energy blade to strike at the heart of Zarnak's armor. The blade cut through the alien's defenses, reaching the core of his power. Zarnak screamed in pain as he staggered backward, his weapon falling from his hands. The alien warlord collapsed to the ground, defeated. His once immense strength had faltered before the ingenuity and heart of humanity. As Zarnak lay dying, his eyes locked onto Bonner's. There was no longer any arrogance in the alien's expression, only the dawning realization of his defeat. For the first time, Zarnak understood the true power of humanity. You've won, Zarnak whispered, his voice weak but filled with a strange respect. I underestimated you, the galaxy will fear you now. And with that, the great alien leader fell silent. Zarnak, the invincible warlord who had threatened to destroy Earth, was no more. Earth had won. The alien threat was over, and humanity had emerged victorious. The battle had been hard, the losses had been immense, but in the end, the human spirit proved stronger than any alien force. As Bonner stood over Zarnak's fallen body, a deep sense of pride filled him. He had led his people to victory, and they had shown the galaxy that no matter how advanced the enemy, humanity would never be underestimated again. But the victory was bittersweet. So many had fallen, friends, comrades, soldiers who had given everything to protect Earth. The cost of victory had been high, and the scars of war would never fade. Bonner turned away from the battlefield, his eyes scanning the horizon. Earth had won, but the war had taken a toll. Yet, there was hope. Humanity had survived, and they would rebuild. The alien threat was gone, but the memory of the war would remain forever, a testament to the strength of the human spirit. As Bonner walked away from the battlefield, the sky above Earth began to clear. The sun rose, shining down on a world forever changed. Earth had won the war, and humanity had proven that even in the face of overwhelming odds, they could rise above, protect their home, and fight for a future.